Alara Sage, welcome to the Orgasmic Lifestyle Podcast. It's a real pleasure to have you here. For those who are unfamiliar with your work, could you tell us what you do?
Absolutely. I help people to really change their relationship to money and embody what I call the wisdom of wealth and really transform their entire relationship to wealth in a big scheme of understanding that wealth is resource, not just money. And the art of wealth is fundamentally the exchange. Everything that we do, everything that we are, is an exchange of energy, an exchange of money, an exchange of words, an exchange of connection and intimacy. And so I help people to fundamentally really recreate that exchange in quality, to be able to receive, to be, and to give in value and in quality. And thus they embody wealth. And that really transforms into everything. And, no longer are we subject to what's happening in the external because we're creating that wealth from within.
So this is there's a psychic element to that. Am I correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
I am very psychic. I call myself the Oracle of Wealth because I am very connected to different planes of existence and dimensions, as well as, yes, I can see the energy of really where wealth is not flowing and where wealth is flowing in somebody's life, in somebody's business.
Amazing. So what inspired you to follow this path?
It's been a long path. So,
Mhm.
there's been several things that have happened that have brought me along this way. It really wasn't my choice. It was my initiation and my personal journey. But most directly associated with wealth, I actually had a six-figure business in 2021, which is the same business I have now. Um, and all of my money was stolen,
Oh,
and my business collapsed and I went into debt for the first time in my life. And I had to address the exact thing that I teach. And I had to restructure my relationship with wealth in order to reestablish my business and reconstruct my business.
so you're already working in this field before this happened to you?
Yes. Well, I wasn't working so much in wealth. I was working in personal transformation,
Okay.
manifestation. Yes, helping people really create what they desire.
So you like saying they became your own test subject, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I think it's really important. I think when people are, preaching some certain modalities, that they are an example of the transformation they're trying to teach. I think that's so important, when you're trying to choose someone to work with. So
Yes.
testing them out on yourself is super important. Mhm.
Yeah, for me, it's the only way. It's just who I am. I learn through experience and then I teach from that experience.
So was the money aspect part of that before this happened to you, or not?
No,
No. Okay. Wow. So what's your relationship to money? How did it change over the years?
radically. So,
Uh-huh.
I had money before, and that enabled me to not really be honest with myself. I mean, I was super self aware. It
Uh-huh.
wasn't that I didn't know that I had a dysfunctional relationship with money. I just chose not to look at it
And
because I
dysfunctional
had
in what
money.
way? In what way dysfunctional?
Well, I was going to get to that. Yeah. I mean, my because I had money,
Uh-huh.
I didn't need to really address, or I believed, let's put it that way, because we do need to. I didn't believe I really needed to address my money. So I had avoidance attachment with money. I didn't look at it. I didn't look at my finances. I didn't look at my business finances only really when I had to. I mean, I stayed up to date on my bills and everything like that, but I didn't sit down with money and have that conversation, that open communication. And after all of that happened with my money, higher self came to me and said, why don't you ask money what your relationship to it is? And so I brought in the entity of money and I said, yeah, tell me, what is our relationship like? And it was a really hard pill to swallow. I mean, again, I knew, but to hear it directly from money, basically, money told me, what relationship? You just show up when you want something. And that's
Mm.
about it. And I was like, oh. I mean, there was a list, to be clear, that money expressed to me, but that was the general sum of the conversation.
Wow, it's interesting to kind of personify money. That's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I didn't personify it. I just spoke to the consciousness of it.
Ah,
It's an
okay.
entity, just like anything. And but I do work with my clients to not necessarily personify it, but yeah, really connect to money as an entity and how does it come through for them. And for some people, it does come through as a persona.
Yeah, I heard this exercise once. If you close your eyes and you imagine money as a person, what kind of person do you think of? Is it someone who's exploited lots of people? Is it someone you'd actually want to have for dinner? So it's kind of interesting how, these a lot of people are struggling with money, but they don't want to look at money. They think it's a bad thing. There's some kind of resistance there. So how do you work with clients? What do you do exactly when you're working with a client?
First and foremost, it's always about the relationship. I mean, there is only the relationship. There is only the exchange in everything that we do.
Hmm.
And all of my teachings have distilled down to this fundamental truth that it is about the quality of that relationship. So we're looking at really, where is that relationship right now? Because the truth is all of your relationships will have similar threads. Just as I was avoidant attachment, I was avoidant attachment also to all my other relationships. They're going to show up in different spectrums. Some of those relationships will be more expressive in that particular dysfunction than others, but they're all going to be relatively the same. And so first and foremost, we really address what is your relationship to money? How do you feel when you look at it? How do you feel when you work with it? How do you feel when you receive it? How do you feel when you hold on to it? When you have money, how do you feel when you spend it? Because there's the three aspects, which is the receiving, the being, and the giving, spending. And then we fundamentally shift those energies as well as shifting any limiting beliefs that is creating those relationships like unworthiness and distrust are the biggest ones. And I work a lot with entrepreneurs. And so we're really looking at where in their business is the money already flowing, because that's the innate expression of wealth is flow. And wealth loves to flow. So it's not about, strategy. Strategy comes through this process. It's really about where is the flow already in your life and your business, and then aligning to that flow. And that's when the strategy and all of that comes from that space. So we really reconstruct all of that, shift any of the limiting beliefs, and I work with quantum mechanics to really step into vibrationally quantum leap into the version of themselves that they want to become. So I use several different modalities.
So what is quantum mechanics for those who are unfamiliar with this term? Is it quantum mechanics, you said?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So it's, understanding that all exists in the here and now. There
Hmm.
are infinite versions of us that exist in the here and now. And we have simply chosen through the power of the observer to this particular reality, this particular experience, this particular timeline, as it's called. However, if you are looking to up level your wealth, if you're looking to become a successful business owner or, open a new business or whatever it is, that version of you already exists in the quantum field.
Hmm.
And so what we do is we connect to that version of you via your imagination. And the beautiful thing is that the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So when we are in our imaginative state, our brain is saying, oh, wow, we're experiencing this, which is one of the most powerful things that we can do. Then, in addition, we are bringing in activations of emotion. What would it feel like to be that version of you? And emotion is energy in motion. And at an epigenetic level, it's important to understand that our cells are programmed via signals and information. And one of the ways cells are programmed in our body is via our emotions.
Hmm.
And so you can reprogram yourself through your emotional state of being by choosing your emotional state of being. We're not trying to bypass, we're not trying to pretend. I don't go for that at all. We're always addressing what really is and simultaneously learning to activate ourselves in what we really want, who we really want to be. And then it's about really taking action from that state. The important thing to understand is that whenever we're trying to shift, change, up level, start something new, it's really our ego that says, wait, I don't know what that looks like. It's the unknown because you're not that already. So when we're using quantum mechanics and the techniques that I teach, you are already telling your mind and your body via the emotions that you are that. So actually, you start to experience it before you're experiencing it in your physical reality. And that takes away a lot of that fear and self sabotage because now the ego goes, oh, wait, this is who we are, right? Oh, wait, here, we're doing it again. Oh, wait, oh, this is becoming really familiar. Then you simply become that version of you. And that then creates your physical reality as such.
I can imagine that sometimes when you're in that process of, let's say, trying to manifest money and it's not quite coming yet, there can be a fear of spending. Do you address this type of fears with your clients? Because sometimes we're thinking, where's the next money coming from? And do you have any practical tips about how to overcome that the fear of thinking, oh, where is the next money coming from? Or I don't know if I can afford this. Because I think if you're thinking of it as an abundant self, you're like, yeah, I am going to buy this thing. Do you have
Mm,
any? Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of a misunderstanding.
Uh,
You there's a difference between, yeah, okay, great, I'm abundant, I'm just going to spend lots of money versus
uh,
again, you're connecting to the energy of abundance. There's lots of different kinds of abundance. Wealth is resource.
mhm,
Okay. There are everything is resource, right? The air you breathe is resource. Water is resource. Money is a form of resource. So, what we're not doing is we're not tapping into abundance and then going and spending a bunch of money.
mhm,
It's always about addressing where you are in the physical reality simultaneously. And to answer your question directly, again, the three aspects of receiving, being, and giving, spending, you have to have quality within all of those exchanges.
mhm,
So it's never just about spending money. It's really about how are you spending that money and what emotional state are you in when you spend that money? Because even if you have lots of money, you can still be spending money in addictive energies, in energies that are attempting to make you feel something that is not really going to give you that. And so we always want to really be ultimately from the state of beingness, from that state of being grounded, heart centered. Your awareness is in your heart. You are present there and actually thinking from your heart, not from your mind, really activated in that desired vibratory state. And then you're taking action from that, which is radically different because then you're really bringing in the quality because the beingness is the true essence of your soul.
mhm. So what does a secure attachment with money look like?
Love.
Hmm.
It looks like acceptance.
Hmm.
And, it's good to go over what does love mean because I think a lot of people don't even know what
Hmm.
real love is. Love is truly about acceptance, accepting ourselves, accepting what is, accepting others, accepting money as it is, and then really having those conversations with money. You don't have to be able to tap into the entity and the consciousness of money like I did, but you do have to be able to sit down with your finances and really come at it from a place of authenticity and transparency and being really open and honest about where you are and what needs to happen, right? So communication is always a foundation of the relationship. You're openly communicating with money and really a lack of trigger with money because
Hmm.
understanding that money is just one example of resource, one example of your wealth. And really, as we learn to change this fundamental relationship, what we're learning also is self sourcing. So that means, we project basically safety security onto money. Money is not safety security. Money will never give you safety security. It'll be short lived, it'll be illusionary. One of the biggest problems with high earners, like millionaires, is they have very high anxiety levels
Hmm.
because money is not safety, security. So we learn to self source those energies from within. so that it doesn't matter how much money you have, you feel a sense of safety and security. And now you can act from that state, and that relationship with money really blossoms. It's just the same with an intimate relationship, right? If you didn't feel safe and secure with an intimate partner, you're not going to be able to flourish within that relationship.
Hmm. And I saw a lot of stuff on your Instagram, I think, about self-worth and how that is connected to money. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. So unworthiness is just a natural human trait. It goes back to, the core wounding of humanity is the belief that we are separate from God, source, spirit, whatever you desire to call it. And that creates this belief that we are unworthy. And unworthiness is deeply subconscious for the vast majority of people. And it creates either attempting to gain lots of money so that you can increase your quote unquote worth, your value, right? Which, of course, again, money will never give you, or you reject it.
Mm,
No matter what you do, you only have so much, right? No matter what you do, you never have enough. That's also the other version of unworthiness because you simply don't believe you're unworthy, so you reject it altogether. So either one of those is fundamentally unworthiness. And unworthiness is in our sacral chakra. It's part of our creative energy. So for women, it's in their womb, and for men, it's in their hara. And it's fundamental to learning how to really work with your creative life force energy in an empowered and embodied way.
mhm. It's so interesting because recently, your post actually made me think about something I've been reflecting on lately about pricing. Because I'm a freelancer, so I'm always hustling. That kind of I've had times when there's not been much money at all, and other times when there's been a lot. And all those times when there's a lot, you don't know when the next dip is coming, so there can be a bit of a fear state there. But what's interesting about being a freelancer and actually sending quotes, I mean, I have identified in my body like there is an amount of money that feels like if they said yes to this, it feels like exploitation. Then there's a higher amount where you think, oh, if they say yes to this, it'll feel like imposter syndrome. And then my body's kind of has this thermostat of what feels safe and fair. But then again, we always, value ourselves less than others do. So it's trying to find that point and increase it a little bit. How do you think we can actually increase that personal thermostat of what you're worth for your work, let's say?
Mm, such a delicious question.
Hmm.
It's really in your nervous system.
Hmm.
And so understanding that you have to be able to shift your nervous system. I speak of the nervous system very much like electrical wires in a house.
Hmm.
It's really kind of set, like you said, the thermostat to a particular amount of energy, amount
Hmm.
of power, amount of creative life force energy. And we have to learn how to adjust the nervous system so that it can bring in more voltage, so to speak. And my favorite way to do that is through breathing.
Hmm.
And that does mean active breath work as well as learning how to simply, breathe better because breath is our fundamental resource. It is the primary resource of our lives. And it includes that inhalation, that exhalation, and that pause. It includes all three aspects. And by really going into the breath and creating a relationship to your breath, you learn how to shift your nervous system. You learn how to upgrade your nervous system when you desire to upgrade your prices or increase your worth and your money coming in. And additionally, again, it comes back to the relationship. So when we are valuing ourselves more, like saying to ourselves, I value you, I am value, I am valuable, right? And continuing to repeat those affirmations to ourselves where we're really feeling the truth of that in our body and addressing any shadow that says otherwise, as well as valuing other people in our lives, valuing what we receive, valuing what we spend, then those prices expand. Our container to increase our prices expand as well. Our value increases.
Because I've had a lot of problems with that in the past, or sometimes if I send a quote and then my YouTube views went down in the last couple of years, and I know someone's going to write back and say, "Oh no, not for your views. We're not paying that." And sometimes I sometimes send a quote thinking, "Oh, this sounds a bit much," but I have that fear. So I'm trying to all trying to do this process on my own because I think I have this problem where I do feel certain comfort by earning a certain amount, but then I want to get a little bit higher. So I'm trying to kind of consensually brainwash myself to set up different systems for my money. Like I've just started food fund, I have self-love fund, so I can just have guilt-free spending of a certain amount. So I can kind of get used to not worrying about different amounts. So I'm trying to like increase those different, let's say, piles across the spectrum to actually increase more my sensation of money. And I think about what would I like to do if I had more money than now. And I think the first thing that comes to mind is travel. And so I'm trying to do that soon so I can actually just get in that frame, that mindset of this is normal for me. So I mean, I'm having a lot of blessings right now, but I think with that my freelance thing, it's always that ups and downs of life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful awareness. And if you visualize yourself, because that's where the catch comes, right? Like you want to travel more to make that part of your life. But if you don't have that income, I'm not saying that's you, but to the
Mm,
audience, that's where the working with the quantum energy, using your imagination, really activating yourself, you can start to live, quote unquote, that life before you have to spend a single dime. And
mm,
another really great technique that's actually coming through right now is you can also start to take action without spending any money. Like you can start to plan a trip, right?
mm.
Go online. Where do you want to go? Where would you go? What would it look like? Those are the action steps that you can take. Or like if somebody's wanting to buy a car, you can always go view the car, drive the car, like do as much as you can to step into through action that version of you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually had money and time over Christmas, and I was looking at all these different plans, and nothing was saying, come here. So I just didn't go anywhere. I thought I'll do something better later on. So I was wondering, what am I doing this for? Is it for the ego, or is it really, I don't know. I wasn't sure of my intentions
Mm.
about doing some exotic trip at Christmas. What about any other? I mean, I have a lot of citrine around my money jars and stuff. Would you recommend anything like that, like crystals?
I mean, I love crystals. I have a lot of them.
Mm,
I just really find that, the self-awareness and the shifting your habits, your patterns, your beliefs,
mm,
shifting your persona is
mm,
what really brings the, transformation into your life.
mm. What about how people dress? Do you think dressing the part, like maybe investing more in your wardrobe and your appearance, can help you feel like more abundant, or that your that thermostat could be increased?
Yeah, that's totally personal.
Hmm.
For some people that might support them and other people not. It's
Hmm.
definitely something I've had a lot of people ask me. And again, it's never about going and spending money. The truth of it is it's never about the money.
Hmm.
I work with money and it's never about the money. And so understanding that, what is it that you're truly seeking?
Hmm.
Because that's what you want. So, in travel, for instance, are you seeking new experiences? Are you seeking adventure, exploration? Are you seeking, there'll be a sense, a feeling, right? And that's what you really want. It's never about the thing. And the beautiful thing about that is you can start to feel that before you start doing it. And again, that's where the power is, because you start to become that version of yourself without spending any money. Otherwise we get caught in these ideas that, well, if I start dressing the part, then I'll become it. That may or may not work for you.
Hmm.
It really depends on the level of self-awareness you have. If you go and you spend a bunch of money on clothes to feel the part, and your underlying unworthiness really prevents you from actually ever stepping into that, well, now you've just spent money that you may or may not even have had.
Mm. Okay. A couple of questions I ask everyone on this podcast. What is the book that changed your life?
Oh, I don't know. I have a lot of books that have changed
Uh,
my life.
Anything about
Um,
money in particular? Anything about money?
no, actually, I've
No.
never really had a book that's money has taught me directly.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, there is a great book on breathing. I don't remember what it's called. I do not retain names, but just understanding what real proper breathing is
Mm.
absolutely changed my life because I started paying attention to my breath, and I correlate our breath with our ability to be wealthy.
Oh, amazing. Love that. Do you have a quote that you live by? A quote or affirmation that you live by?
I live by the affirmation that I'm one with God and God is everything.
Oh, amazing. That's great. Okay, should we get into my reading?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm excited.
So, where would you like to focus? What questions do you have? What area of your business or of your life are you looking to focus in on?
Well, I'm focusing now. I'm trying to, well, I have my book in English, which is about to come out. I'm trying to kind of shift my business to more B2C, like more like now I do branded sponsorship deals with companies. So, but now I want to monetize my audience more, which is 180,000 people. So I want to launch more online courses, more affiliate marketing, maybe some premium level coaching. I'm doing a bit of that now. So I really just like that peace of mind of making money while you sleep. So just digital products really in my book, things like that. And I want to get into into the mode of comfort through those resources because I do think that when you have contracts with companies, it's almost the same as being an employee. They can end at any time. So it's really like spreading out those the power, let's say. So I just want comfort, I guess.
Mm,
Comfort and flexibility. That's really important for me.
mm.
Mm,
Flexibility definitely resonates with you. So, when you
mm,
were talking about the book and really turning to B2C, your right ovary is really lighting up. And,
ah,
this is really about how we bring our creative energy into the physical reality. So, the right ovary is the masculine expression of our ovaries, of our creative potential, right?
mm,
So, there's a hesitation there about being seen and really around your expression. What
mm.
is the book?
It's called Orgasmic Manifestation. So it's all about the sacral. And I discovered this practice 6 years ago, and I went from no pillow to six. I mean, I've completely transformed my life
Beautiful.
through this or channeling orgasm on goals. So I was really struggling. I had paid off all my debts. So this is why the topic of money is very interesting to me because I did change my life after reading Think and Grow Rich, and that just got me on this journey of harnessing sexual energy towards my goals. And now I've written a book about it. I've written it in Spanish. I've published it with a very big publisher here in Spain, and now I'm bringing it to a global market. Mm.
Yeah, beautiful. So there is some fear there of being received. When you
Mm.
first said it in the book, I feel it. And now as you're speaking to it, I'm feeling it as well. So you want to address anything, you have in your subconscious mind, particularly these conversations about sexual energy. They have a lot of quantumly entangled lives where we have been prosecuted for that type of information. I'm sure you've addressed a lot of that, but again, it's held in your right ovary. So there's
Mm.
still a block there.
Mm.
And so what higher self is saying is, there's that block is going to be in your ability for your book to be really received and seen at the level that you want it to be received. So
Mhm.
addressing anything you can there around fear of being received, of course, in these conversations, but also in general as well. Just any level of rejection, abandonment, any of those kinds of energies. And then let's feel into so when I feel into your energy and ask where the flow is, definitely there's a lot of energy in your womb and in your ability to create with the courses and everything. And there's you're holding yourself back.
Mm.
And higher self is now coming in really strongly with this. She's holding herself back. She's holding herself back. What is she waiting for? And I really see this energy of floodgate wanting to come through. And again, the apprehension, right? The apprehension of what happens as I really step into this and really open this up. Will I be received? So that will I be received is creating that apprehension of you opening the floodgates to yourself and to the flow of wealth that already, again, is here now. And it's really in your womb, like it's dormant. It's not, it's just waiting there for you to really start to take action and open this up for yourself.
I guess I do have that fear of um, let's say the topic of sexuality is obviously that can create a lot of rejection, but
Yeah.
also the topic of, anything related to, witchcraft, anything esoteric. That's like, she lost her mind. You know what I mean? So there's that kind of element. There's two taboos together. But also it's something that's profoundly changed my life, and everything related to this topic for me flows. Like I just wrote the book with no writer's block. It all came, and I wrote it in Spanish as well. It was just really it was really an amazing flow creative project. But yeah, I do feel sometimes a bit of shyness when I'm too shy to do, like, let's say, short form videos or speak to my phone and walk, that kind of thing. So, but I feel much more comfortable with long form. But also, there's another problem with doing so many things. Sometimes I get quite overwhelmed. So, I mean, I could be like have a business with everything I'm doing, but I'm one person and outsourcing to a few people. So it's a bit of a overwhelm, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And you definitely want to simplify it as much as possible.
Mm,
Wealth loves simplicity, not
mm.
complexity. Complexity, it's like putting a bunch of barriers in the road. And, wealth has to like go around all of those barriers, right? It like doesn't create flow. So simplicity is where flow of wealth loves. So what do I mean by that? I mean, simplifying as much as possible, not spreading yourself thin, not doing too much. Now, depending on your human design, like I'm a manifesting generator, I have a
Yeah, me
lot of
too.
creative energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's still, so it's like honoring that and simultaneously keeping it simple, meaning everything's kind of flowing back into the same place. You're using the same content over again. Everything you're doing is feeding back into primary offers. That's the way that human manifesting generators, we can really continue to be ourselves, but we're not complicating and spreading ourselves so thin that the wealth starts to also thin out. What are the courses or programs, offerings that you're considering?
One is about the sex magic orgasmic manifestation, and the others are about female sexuality. Like one's called Clitoral Awakenings, one's about sex toys. So these are courses of workshops that I've already given. So they're kind of waiting to be recorded. So I've already got the materials ready, and they've been very successful. But I'm going to focus first on the book and then the course, and do it in stages like that. I'm also trying to kind of build up the backlog of web posts now and meditations that I put on Insight Timer, which is also generating passive income. So I can just get all of those things already built up, so I can actually then. I like to work. I like immersion, so I kind of get all into one project until it's all, scheduled for like 3 months or something.
Yeah, beautiful. Again, and higher self is saying as long as all of those lead back to primary offers, right, then that's going to be productive for you. Absolutely. But again, as you're speaking to all of that, there's a lot of apprehension in your space and a lot of blocking in your right ovary. So you'll definitely want to either journal, and really ask, what is it that you fear? Are there any memories of this life or other lives that want to come through that you can connect to and bring in forgiveness to yourself and anybody that was involved? I just generally call in the forgiveness of God. It's a very high vibration, and you don't have to feel the forgiveness, and it'll transmute that karmic propensity. But consider journaling, spending some time inquiring about this, because yeah, it's really going to slow down or restrict how well these programs are for you and how much wealth that creates. If you can really move that and shift that energy, then it really feels like it's just going to start really flowing through your primary channel there.
Okay, so what does the right ovary represent?
So it's the masculine of the feminine, right? So
Hmm.
the feminine is that creative life force energy. So the left ovary is where we receive, right?
Hmm.
Within that creative life force energy, we're receiving the inspiration, we're connecting to our inspiration and our desires. And then the right ovary is how we're bringing that inspiration out through and into the physical. Okay. So it has a lot to do with being received,
Hmm.
because it's like, oh, this is what I'm creating, right? And this can go back to early childhood as well. This is coming through for you specifically from higher self, where if you were creative in any manner, you can start to ask yourself in a peaceful, heart-centered place, were those creations received? Right? Were they received just as was, right? Or was there some sort of judgment on it, or you need to change it, right? Or it's not good enough, or anything along those lines, are just not received in general. And really try to access, older memories, those first additional memories of that creative process for you, because it is about, okay, this is my creation, right? And really bringing it forward and having that reception when the right ovary is really embodied and in the energy of our creative life force energy, then our creations are received. And it's also about, bringing that out and also not having any attachment to it, which of course, again, comes back to the fundamental of the relationship, right? Our quality of giving, quality of spending, the quality of the masculine, being able to bring something forward and let it be what it is, simply because it was the joyousness, the liveness of the creation. That's all we needed.
Hmm. So what do you think about my current relationship to money? Can you sense anything from?
Money says that you don't listen to it.
Uh-huh.
It says that it tells you things to do and you don't always listen. So don't always is um, and it wants to come to you, but again, there's apprehension. And there's apprehension around having money and managing money, is what money is telling me. So, like, I feel money, like, literally trying to come more into your space, and also communicating with you what that looks like, and how you can open up more to it.
So how do you think I can open up more to it then? Addressing their fears?
Yeah. So, trust,
Hmm.
right? Deep, deep, deep trust. Deep trust in yourself and the truth that, yes, we have lived these lives, where we've had this pain around this type of work that you're bringing forth, this priestess work. And simultaneously, those are in the past. We need to release those. And then we need to have the trust that this not only is what wants to come through you, it's what humanity needs. Like,
Mm.
humanity needs you to bring forth your gifts and your genius. And so, really trusting yourself, trusting that inner knowing, and trusting God, no matter what happens, continuously, deepening that trust. As the feminine, she needs to feel safe. She needs to trust so that she can fully open, right, to her ravenous, most delicious, most
Mm.
profound expression. But that trust comes through, really having that deep relationship with ourselves and having those boundaries of those no's and those yeses, and understanding this is a no and that's a no, and this is a yes and that's a yes. We take action on those, to the best of our ability without any self-doubt or hesitation.
That's something I'm actually working on right now is the boundaries. I'm recovering people pleaser. I've given too much overgiver, to
Yeah.
friends. And I did it for love, like just approval.
Mhm.
And then when I get very busy and I cannot give so much, then the friends are kind of like, whoa, what happened? So I have to kind of really dial back on what I'm giving. And now I'm getting to a space of really honoring my own needs as well. So I'm hoping that's going to serve me and my bank.
Yes, absolutely. And there's two things with that. For one, again, the quality of your giving, right? Because
Mm,
we want the quality of our giving to come from a place of self-love
mm,
first and foremost. Then the quality of our giving radically increases. You have to give a lot less because every time you give or spend, every time you have that masculine energy, it's very, very potent and powerful. It lands because you are bringing forth that love through that action, right? And of course, you don't need that validation anymore because that validation is already within you. And then, when we are in that state of self love and we understand these are my boundaries, then we feel safe to trust ourselves. Because when we're overgiving, we overgive. And then we say, now I have nothing left for myself. And you're creating inner distrust with yourself every time you do that because you're the one that suffers. Nobody else suffers. You suffer, right?
mm,
So it's like you put yourself, it's like putting your hand on a hot stove and it hurts. And then you're like,
mm,
ow, that hurt. And then you do it again and you do it again. And there's a part of you that's going to be like, I really don't trust myself, right? Because I keep putting myself into a place of pain.
mm,
So when you further reinforce those boundaries, then it becomes that space where you can deepen that trust because you know very clearly my no means no, my yes means yes. That comes from self love. It benefits me and everyone around me at the highest potential. And then as you deepen that trust, you can really open up to receive and give very, very powerfully.
amazing. Love it. Can you think of three practical tips that anyone listening to this can do to actually improve their relationship with money?
First and foremost, sit down and just write, have a conversation. What is your relationship to money? Okay, and
Mm,
really allow through writing just the conversation to come through so that you can really have that awareness. Second one is really turning to your breath.
mm,
Breath is free, it's always available. And again, it is the fundamental resource and it directly symbolizes your relationship to wealth. When you are contracted in your body, you cannot breathe down into your belly. You cannot take a nice, deep, full breath, meaning you also cannot receive. Okay, when your nervous system is activated, and it goes with all three parts of your breath. So, beginning to recognize that your breath, the correlation between the inhalation, the receiving, the exhalation, the giving, the spending, the pause is the beingness. And the pause is about expansion of being able to hold more money, to be in that energy of money more and more. Really recognizing the quality that you have, the relationship that you have, or lack of relationship that you have with your breath. And then the last thing I would say is any relationship, right? All relationship is going to have, again, the similar strains of dysfunction or function within it. So you can also look at your relationship to the intimate partners in your life, to your friends, what really shows up there as far as that giving and exchanging those boundaries. All of this is beautiful reflection that you can then, from that place, learn to take action and transform your personal beliefs.
amazing. Thank you so much. So where can people find you?
Alarasage.com is my website, and I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Alara Sage.
And do you offer programs or individual sessions? How do you work?
Yes, I have programs, I have individual sessions, I have long term containers. So there's several different options to work with me.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on the Orgasmic Lifestyle podcast. I'll definitely be taking your advice and journaling about money.
Absolutely. Such a wonderful conversation. Thank you. And thank you for your gifts.
Oh, thank you so much.